What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Shoot or Shoot. Where every shot you do not take, you will miss. So shoot that thing. Today's episode will focus on the bitter end of the NBA season. The end of the season I'm not thrilled about because my Pistons didn't do what I wanted them to do, or what they wanted to do, or what the fans wanted them to do, which was win the championship. I did not think we would have a problem with Cleveland, but it's the playoffs and anything can happen. But I knew if Cleveland won, the Knicks would destroy them. And I was correct. We actually, I think, had a better shot, Pistons meaning as in we, had a better shot at playing the Knicks and beating them because regular season we owned them. And we didn't just beat them about 2, 3, 4 points. We blew them out almost every time. So, and I know the playoffs is a different animal. There's a different playoffs. Teams play different in the playoffs, and I understand that. But as the Knicks go on have their little parade today, down in New York and whatever, you can have your little funky parade. I'd still congratulate them. They did what they're supposed to do. They pretty much had a very historic playoff run for them, with the only hiccups where this Atlanta kind of like messed them up a little bit in the first round, but after that they pretty much did their thing. They had some games that were close, but they found a way to pull it out. And Brunson, people talk about him all, when he got the contract, he's not the one to build around. They need another superstar, yada yada yada. Well, he proved himself. I mean, even when the coaching change with Thibodeau was out last year and they brought in Mike Brown, I was even skeptical of that. Not of Mike Brown, but of the coaching change because you're right there. And I thought Thibodeau, and I still think Thibodeau's a good coach. But, I guess he just wore those guys out. He played them too much, and when you have that type of team and the pace you play, and especially on the defensive end, you can't, even though they're pros, you can't wear the players out because by the time you get to playoffs where you got, 7-game series, it'll show, and it end up showing. And as great as as great as Brunson is, great as Hart, all those other guys, I see the media, no real sports pundits are giving credit to Mike Brown. Mike Brown has been very, very solid to good everywhere he's been. He filled in with the Warriors. I think they might have lost 1 or 2 games during that time. I think it might have been like 20-some games. But they discredit him because of the Warriors. Oh, they got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, whatever. But Luke Walton did the same thing. He filled in. He got a high-priced job, a high-paying job with Sacramento. So it was at Cleveland with LeBron, couldn't get it done with LeBron. Oh, Mike Brown was only good because LeBron was there. Went to Sacramento, did decent, and got his chance back now with the Knicks. And took his 1 year and ran. And won a championship. Not a championship for a team that's always won. A championship team for a team that has been in the finals for years. New York Knicks, 53 years. Willis Reed, Clyde Frazier, those players, got wrestled. I'm not trying to say anything bad about them, but they're on their way out of this world. For them to see them win again, I'm super happy for those guys. I'm super happy for Patrick Ewing and the guys. The guys are right there at it. They were a finger roll away from, getting there. And I just think for the city of New York, as arrogant as some of those fans are, as arrogant as some of their actions are, like they have won a ton of times, I'm still happy for them because they're Knicks fans that are in my family. And kudos and hats off to them. Just like everything else, every other thing people say is, I'll see you next year. All right. So a couple highlights this season that I like to go over that I noticed, and I'm kind of like, okay, cool. I see where the NBA is going, and I like it. First, I'll start off with the somber. You know, we're witnessing Golden State's decline. We're witnessing Steph on his way out. Even though Steph still has a lot left in the tank, he still can be the number one guy, but that is fading. He definitely needs help down low, where there's always been an issue. Draymond is Draymond. Draymond's going to do his thing. Draymond's going to lock up the biggest player, the best player, but he's declining as well. He's the injuries are starting to pile up. So they're going to need, in this offseason, if they want to make one more run at it, at least one more, they're going to need a big star. And I don't think no other bigger star they can get is besides Giannis. That will take them over the top. That's going to give Draymond a little break from being the number one defender on their big guy. It's going to get Steph. It's going to free him up because they can't double him because now they got Giannis. So then now you got Draymond running the show, and it's going to revitalize him, in my opinion. So that's where I think the Golden State Warriors should go and how they should move. And then, you know, even though he's not my favorite player, he's not my GOAT like he is for y'all, we're witnessing the LeBron James era moving on, the LeBron James decline. And as much as, you know, I make jokes about Bron, I've never called him a bum. I never called him suck. I never called him sorry. But it's going to be different, you know, not seeing Bron there in the league. It's going to be different, not rooting against him. And for you that root for him, it's going to be different, not rooting for him. And he's definitely showing a decline. He's going to have flashes where he's going to have 30 points and, you know, like last season, oh, LeBron is still there. He's 40 years old doing this. But then on the flip side, when those people saying, oh, look at LeBron, he's 40 years old doing this, we have a bad game when he has like 10 points and like 8 turnovers, and then the people talk about him online, those same people will say, come on, guys, he's 40 years old. What do you expect? You can't have it both ways. You have to realize Bron is going to have his games where he's going to turn back the clock. Bron is going to have his games where he's going to look 40 years old. And that's just the way it is. Like he's Father Time, he is running neck and neck with him, but Father Time has a lot more energy. Father Time has a lot more juice in the tank than LeBron ever will. So he can pace with him for a while, but over time, Father Time's going to look in the rearview mirror and be like, bye-bye. And it's just going to happen. All right? And another thing, last thing I kind of witnessed this year and I'm proud of because of, and I'll talk about my Detroit Pistons. We were in there in the hunt to actually win the championship. Cade Cunningham was in the hunt to be MVP. I think he should have got more votes to be MVP. The man had a collapsed lung. Supposed to have been gone for the season. Fought his way back by the last of the season and actually went to the game in Charlotte, and I think that was his second or third game back for the collapsed lung. And you can see he was sluggish. You can see he was moving a little slowly, but he was still efficient and smooth. So I'm just glad he didn't have nothing internal that was detrimental to his health and to his career, and most of all, to the Pistons. So, and I'm not going to get too hard on Duren because that was just kind of his first playoff push, first playoff run, you know, first time like, okay, I'm in the playoffs, like, what do I do? What do I do? I think he's going to progress like a Bam Adebayo. I think he's going to be that kind of player for us. Once he gets a touch around the rim, once he get a little more footwork, right now he's a rebound and he's a lob guy, but I think if he works on his game during the offseason, progresses like I think he will and should, and how the Pistons think he should, I think he's going to be a very good, viable number 2 for us. And Tobias, I think he was way more than what we expected this year. I don't know if we'll get that out of him next year, but Tobias, my hat's off to you, brother. You balled out. And I'm now to the finals. As I said before, the Knicks get all the credit. You know, they did great. I'm not bitter anymore. I'm not upset anymore. But I do see what the Spurs, how they are and what they can work on. And as good as Wemby is, as good as Wemby will be, I think he shrunk in the finals during the closing minutes. I mean, to elevate to the real alien that he is, he's got to get to the end of the game and not, in my opinion, look bashful. He looked like he wanted the shot. He wanted to take over the game, but I'm okay if I pass it to Castle. I'm okay if I pass the ball to Ron Harper Jr. I'm okay. Yeah, I'll shoot if I need to, but who knows? So I think that if he could just get to the point where he says, okay, it's the last 2 minutes, last 3 minutes, we're down 6, or we like up 4. Give me the ball. I'm gonna take over. I'm gonna do my thing, and that's just the way it's gonna be. So I think he needs to take that next step in closing games. He's got all the tools. He's as I thought. People think he's weak. He get pushed around. Yeah, he got pushed around a little bit, but he did a little bit of pushing. You could tell he listened to people when they say he's weak and he can't do this and can't do that. He tried to show you exactly what he could do. So for that, I think he's going to be just fine once he starts to get that late game mentality. That late game mentality that you have during the first 3 quarters, I think at that point, only thing that's going to stop him is a major injury, because once he get there, he's going to catapult. He's gone. And then I'll close with saying that for the people who talk about the NBA and nobody watches the NBA and this and that, and the numbers are down. Nobody watches. It's so rigged. It's so this and that. All the shooters jumpers. Yada yada yada. Oh, I'll give you a stat. Okay, I'll give you a stat to disprove all that crap you guys are saying about the NBA. In the last 24 years, this year is the most watched year in the last 24 years. The year that y'all talking about that's terrible, the NBA is going down here, nobody's watching that, yada, 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 yada. In the last 24 years, this is the top season for its ratings. So you can do what you want to with that. You can spin it any way you want to. I'm pretty sure if you're the one saying the NBA sucks, the NBA is down, going downhill, you'll spin it any kind of way you want. Oh, well, it's this because of this and because of that. But the reality is, it is the most watched season in the last 24 years. Facts are facts, numbers are numbers. That's something you can't hide. And as always, guys, I appreciate you. And I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you listening, subscribing. That'll be great. And I appreciate you sharing. Until next time, as always, shoot that thing.